name is Boyd. I'm the product manager for home audio traditionally, and now content creation and streaming products at Yamaha Music as well. I've met a lot of you in the past, some I haven't met. I've been with Yamaha over sort of 11-ish years now. Traditionally I've looked after all the home audio products, the hi-fi products and surround sound and that sort of thing. Over the last 12 months or so, I've been bringing a lot of these newer products I've been doing into my portfolio as well. So these are content creator, streaming, gaming focused products, which are sort of delineations down from the professional audio products that we've been doing for a number of years since, the early 70s. So some of them look somewhat familiar if you've ever seen any of that professional audio equipment, but they've been sort of retooled to suit the newer sort of streaming and game audio market as well. So I'm going to run you through products from probably the simplest use cases through to the more advanced in the AG08. So the first product I'll talk about is the YCM01U, which is this unit here. This is as simple as it gets for someone who wants to reinforce audio for streaming, working at home, anything that they want to run audio through into their PC or into a computer essentially, because it's just a plug and play condenser microphone. So the only output on there is the USB-C connection, so that'll provide power and provide signal. It doesn't even need drivers installed on the PC. It'll basically just get recognized by your software, whether it be Teams or Zoom or OBS or whatever. It'll just recognize this as the Yamaha YCM01 microphone. You've got simple controls on the volume level dial, headphone monitoring level volume, and then you've got your headphone output on the back as well. And that'll take your audio through the USB back from your PC as well. So for someone who's wanting to, as I move over, just talking about who these sort of products are for. Retails at $249.99. So this is great for, obviously, people who just need a single microphone to talk into. So online tutors, content creators, solo podcasters, even someone if they're wanting to record just a single, say, acoustic instrument, like they just want a quick and dirty way of recording an acoustic guitar or something like that. It's a condenser microphone, so it's perfect for picking up acoustic instruments. So great way to get audio coming through from an acoustic instrument. Beginner game streamers, like I said, people from work from homes, recording lectures, all that sort of thing. It's probably like the most versatile and simple of all the products in the range. Pretty competitive in terms of its price point as well. Won't really sort of break the bank for the level of performance that it can deliver. Key pain points that something like this overcomes is the fact that when you're recording the voice, it's important to record the voice with a lot of sort of detail and pick up a lot of the nuance, especially if a lot of people are talking all at once. I don't know how many people have been involved, work from home calls or calls where you've got multiple people talking at once and some people are using AirPods or worse headphones. You've got a tiny little microphone that's designed for picking up phone calls, but not delivering a lot of detail. If you're presenting in any shape or fashion, you really should be using some kind of good quality microphone to make sure that all the detail, obviously people can notice what you're saying, but people can understand what is being said. It's the primary thing you're doing is talking to someone, so a high quality microphone is absolutely critical, and so many people still just go for the simple option of using whatever's built into their headphones or their earphones, which can potentially get the job done, but it can be done a lot better and for not a whole lot of money. Limitation of it requires a little bit of desk space compared to having a microphone built into your headphones, but not heaps, 10 square centimeters, 15 square centimeters of space probably, so not a heap of space when all is said and done. And it doesn't have any external inputs, like an auxiliary input of some sort. If you want to run a separate source through and mix that in, you can't do that. You can with the AG01, which I'll talk about in a second, but that is basically just going to record your voice and that's it. Can also be used with iOS devices that have, especially if they run the newer ones that run off USB-C. So you can plug that straight in. If the phone, especially iPads that have more juice, you can run an iPad straight into that, and it'll power it. And if you're, say, doing, someone's recording cooking demonstrations in their living room and they're just using the camera on their iPad to film everything that they're doing, instead of using the built-in microphone of the iPad or their AirPods or what have you, you can have this sitting on the table as well, and then that'll work as an external microphone through to that product, which is really nice. All of these presentations you see here, Dave will be able to sort of send you through PDF versions that you can read through. So please don't sit there and try and read everything that's on there. This is something I've designed for educating not only staff, but I've actually made them kind of consumer friendly too. So if you have a customer who wants to know more about this stuff, there's nothing sensitive in there. So it is something you can kind of provide the PDF of as well if they want to learn a little bit more about it. I've got information on how to kind of connect it up. Benefits of this type of microphone versus other types of microphone. Comes with a carrying case, a carrying pouch, comes with a little tripod stand, comes with a USB-C cable. So everything you need, just doesn't come with headphones. You'd have to use your own headphones. So that's it. So like I said, nice and simple, plug and play, doesn't even need drivers. So great, simple little product. Terrific sound, of course, being a condenser microphone and be a Yamaha microphone. Next product though, we're going to get a little more crazy with the AG01. See if it started up here. Yes, it did. Perfect. All right. So AG01 is quite interesting. So not only is it using a condenser microphone like you can see in the YCM01U, but this is turning into a little built-in all-in-one mixer as well. So this is a microphone and mixer all-in-one unit. So you can change up the use case a little bit with these products because you can start running an external source through, as well as a loopback coming through from your PC. So when I talk about loopback, if you're not sure what loopback is any sound that you're playing on your PC comes back via the USB into that product and then gets mixed with the microphone and maybe another external source, and you've got an independent sort of volume control for how much of that gets mixed in as well. All of these sort of mixers have loopback, as does this product here. But this product, as you can see from my big list of who might benefit from this product here. So again, you've got your online tutors, you've got your content creators and podcasters, but you've also got, say, single instrument musicians and streamers, where you can run an external source into it, which I'll explain in a second. Also, of course, works for people who want something to work from home, record lectures, record interviews. But like I was sort of getting at, the real power of this unit here, and I'm going to flick quickly to the bottom picture here, is you've got some inputs in the bottom as well. So you've got a auxiliary input, a 3.5mm auxiliary input. You've got your headphone output there. You've got a TRRS jack as well. So if you've got an Android device that allows you to sort of send and receive via the 3.5mm jack there. So if you want to send audio from this microphone out to a stream and it's using that jack connection instead, you can do that. And you've actually got two USB-C connections as well. One is just purely for power. One is for your power and your signal. So if you're using this with a device that doesn't provide enough juice to power the microphone for what it needs, you can just connect up a separate dedicated USB-C power brick or what have you to power the unit, and then still have the second one running out to run signal back and forth as well. So it'll cover most sort of use cases. So I'll give you a quick little demonstration though of what you could do with something like this if you are maybe a musician streamer, or you're wanting a quick and simple little way to record. I've used this at home just for doing quick little demos and things where I wanted to record something quickly. Make sure I've got everything plugged in. I plugged all that back in. Yes, I did. All right, let's see if this is gonna work. So at the moment I'm running my guitar through into my effects processor down here, and then all I'm doing is running the headphone output of my Line 6 effects processor into the auxiliary input of the microphone here. Now, when you're using the auxiliary input, you don't have volume control of the auxiliary input on this product. Your volume control is on whatever the device is. So if it's a synth, a keyboard, a guitar amplifier, an external radio, whatever, it just has to have its own external volume control. Otherwise, you're just going to get the straight line level through, which might come through kind of too loud. So then I'm just running via the loopback. I've got a back-in track here on running off YouTube. So let's see if that's going to come through. If I turn the level up, that's feeding through from there. So as you can see, that's just really simple way, and that's all just running really through here. I'm just using this because I've got the actual speakers plugged in there. But you can, for someone who's just wanting, you know, a musician, they wanting to send something like that out to the stream, maybe they're doing, you know, guitar tutorials on YouTube or something, and they want to be able to run a guitar backing track, their microphone as they're talking, and then their instrument running through. Really simple, elegant way to do that. And again, you're not using a bunch of desk space like you're using with something like this, or even some of the smaller mixers there too. And then if you just want to then turn around and use this, you know, you're doing that on the weekend, and then, you know, throughout the week you're taking Teams calls at home, doing meetings and things, it'll meet that as well. So you don't have to start changing up the equipment that you're using. Really nice and simple little way to be able to do that. Doesn't have to be guitar. It's like I said, it's an auxiliary input, so anything that can output. If you're game streaming, you're using an old Super Nintendo or something, and you're wanting to stream the audio out of that into your stream, you've got your video capture card capturing the audio. You want to then run the RCAs out into the auxiliary input and send the audio out into the stream while you talk over it. You can just run that in stereo RCA into 3.5 and run that through and stream it out that way. So only you're looking at $349. So to get that extra functionality, you're only looking at about $100 on top of what the YCM01U can offer, and it kind of changes up the use case pretty significantly, especially if you're you know, a musician or a game streamer as well. So I'll jump back over here to the presentation. Let's come back up. Yes, it has. So limitation-wise, you've limited with the amount of channels you have. Obviously, you're only really dealing with a couple of main channels, including your microphone. You can't really use it in a shock mount because you've got all these buttons and controls and things sort of sitting here as well. So I'll run you through those too. I forgot to do that. So on the front, you've got a mute button. So great, again, if you're streaming and you need to cough or swear or whatever, you've got a quick mute button. Being able to do things on the fly as you're live streaming is super important because you don't have to be jumping out into settings and pausing your stream or whatever while you mess around with things. So be able to just reach out and have a quick button is super important. So you've got mute. You've got a reverb as well, which is set up within the app. I don't know if it's going to test. I've got it really subtle. But basically you can run a reverb, and you can go into the app and set up how long the delay times and things are. You've got your volume control over your loopback audio that's coming through, and then you've got your headphone mix audio as well. On the back, you've got some of the things that you would traditionally find on a mixer. So you've got a mic gain, so you can switch between low, medium, and high gain, depending on how far you're going to be sitting away from the microphone, or if you're sitting really close to speakers. You've got your streaming out, so you can select whether you've got just the microphone going through your stream, an input mix, which is your microphone and your auxiliary input, or if you're including those as well as the loop back, which is the audio coming back from the PC. And then you've also got mix minus mic, which is for people who, when they're monitoring using headphones and they don't want to hear their own voice coming through, it's annoying or it could be distracting, you can turn that on and that'll take your actual microphone signal out of your headphones, so you're only hearing the loop back or what's coming back from the PC or your external product, which is something that a lot of people want when they're using a mixer. So you've still got all that functionality built into this. So not a lot of kind of compromises in terms of even though it is a sort of a smaller footprint mixer. So like I said, hardware-wise, you can use it with musical instruments, anything that has its own volume control or line level output, PCs. Again, this will also still work with iOS devices, so as long as it's output enough power, you can just plug this into an iPad and use it as well, which means that anything you're running through it. So again, if I didn't have a laptop, I could do that same demo that I just did if I'm just recording with an iPad sitting in my living room or whatever. You don't have to have a PC to do it, as long as the device you're using with it will recognize this as an external audio source. Then you're just doing the mixing on that product. Explain those features. So the app. So it's called AG Controller. I'll bring it up here. So there's two sort of ways to look at this app built into the one. This is the sort of the simple mode, which is for your someone who doesn't know a lot about audio and how it works. They don't know about how to EQ their voice or set up a compressor. These settings do those things, but in a really simple way. So you can select your voice range, so bass, tenor, alto, and that'll just apply a basic EQ curve based on your selection. This will automatically pick up that it's a condenser microphone that you're using because it knows you're using this microphone. You can choose then if you want to talk into it or sing, and that'll add like a reverb and compressor based on those solutions. You can run a, oops, disappeared. You can run a sound check down here as well, and that'll guide you through setting up the microphone and your levels. So it'll go through and make sure that you set your gain switch correctly, set your microphone correctly, and your monitoring headphones correctly. Don't remember ABS yet. Go away. Sorry, give it a little mouse, and there you are. Go. Sorry, it's the wrong app. But you can also go into a more, ignore this one in the background, that's the other app. This one here is the more detail mode for the AG01. So again, that's where you can go in and select your reverb and different types of reverb for when you push that button, what kind of reverb it will apply. You can go in there and set up your compressor. You can go in there and set up your parametric EQ as well. So it's not only for a simplified version that's sort of super stripped down. It has both options for both types of users, advanced users and beginner users. Even though it does look like a somewhat sort of beginner type product, you can still kind of get in there as well, which is great. Oops, get back in there, AG01. All right. I think we've covered almost everything on that. So the back of the unit, like I said, you'll have access to all these. So I've done this also if you're interested, or if you're trying to explain to people how, features like compressors and that. I've done sort of some write-ups on what is a compressor and when should you use it, what is EQ, when should you use it, what is reverb, when should you use it, all that kind of thing, just the general sort of stuff that if you need to talk about these things, just the basics of what you kind of need to be able to explain. And then just some links to this one does use, you install drivers for it, and it also, that you need to download that AG controller app from the website as well. So that's the AG01 at $349.99. Now I'll jump over to the next one. Any questions so far at all while I fire up?
With the mics,
yes?
Are the mics designed still as normal when you talk front onto the mic?
That's a really good question. Yes, these are a cardioid pattern microphone, which means that they're designed for picking up primarily what's in front of them, not what's around them. They're not omnidirectional where it goes around. You want cardioid, where, especially if you're using this on a desk where you've got noisy equipment around you, PCs with fans and things like that behind you. It's not really going to pick up what's happening behind. So if this is sitting at the front of the desk, PC sitting behind, this isn't going to pick up what's happening behind it, which is great. If you're wanting to put it on a table and have people sitting around it and talking, not as great. You need a microphone that's an omnidirectional microphone in that point. Some microphones that you can get like this do have the ability to switch between omnidirectional and cardioid, but these ones are all just a cardioid thing. It actually normally has you won't be able to see it, but on the front here it has like a little polar pattern there for the type of microphone it is. So you'll see that it's kind of around and then it kind of like dips up in the middle, because everything in the middle back here, it's not really going to. Yeah, basically that's exactly right. So yeah, perfect for using on desks, but just not so much for like meetings and things. All right, next one. Come here, you, and let's do while we're talking about AGs. Oops, you. There we go. All right. So these mixers, the AG03 and AG06, these have been around for quite some time, but these are the new Mark II versions that got a refurbishment just after all the COVID and stuff. These things actually went absolutely crazy during those few years, especially overseas for using it at home for remote work situations. These were the AG03s were super popular for that. Oops, brought the wrong thing over. You come back here. Don't want you over there. One day I'll get the hang of using multiple screens. Come back. Oh my gosh. It doesn't matter. You go here. So there's two versions of this. The number just equates to the amount of channels that it'll handle. So AG03's 3 channels of mixing, AG06 is for 6 channels of mixing. So these are used again for content creators, streamers, remote workers, but these look more like a traditional mixing desk slash USB audio interface. So this is the AG03 here. This actually comes in a pack as well, which is the LSPK, the live streaming pack, which the pack has the AG03 mixer, comes with a set of headphones. These are Steinberg ones, but they're which not the ones they actually come with, they're similar to that. And it comes with a YCM01 microphone, condenser microphone, and it comes with an XLR lead in the box as well. So everything you need to be able to use one of these will come in the box. Or yeah, you can buy just the mixer itself for $329. Nice and simple. You've got a volume fader here for your main sort of microphone channel. So you've got phantom power for running condenser microphones. You've got a combo jack here for XLR and 1/4-inch jacks. And you've got a line selector where you can select between either using that input or the line input. And then your other 2 channels are controlled via the dials here. And they're using these 1/4-inch jack inputs here for channel 2 and channel 3. You can see here it's sort of recommending using, to say, a guitar and then a keyboard. If you use the guitar into number 2, you've got a like an amp sim and that'll show you in the other one that you can use. With that, you've got a single headphone output for monitoring, and you've got 1/4-inch jacks here for running out to monitor speakers. So you don't have XLRs to run out to monitor speakers like I'm using on the AG08 there, but you can still just run, 1/4-inch cables out, jack, instrument cables out to use those to go to monitors if you want, if you're not using headphones, or you've just got a stereo RCA too. So nice and simple solution, but that's another good way to be able to use condenser microphone with another device, whether it be a musical instrument or some other line level signal coming through. Will also work with the iOS devices if you just plug it in, and it actually, like the AG01, it has the dual USB-C connections as well. So you've got one with you can just provide 5 volts of power to it to drive it, and then you've got one that'll run the signal. But if your product, if it's a laptop or if it's an iPad or something that has enough output, you can just use the one and it'll do power and signal through both of them. So again, as you can see from some of the photography, great for sort of sitting, just doing in a location, recording into one of the mixers. That's the AG06 that you can see there because you've got dual channel strips. So I'll jump over to that and show you the difference. Here we go. So this is the AG03. Then the AG06, so you're looking at sort of $329.99 or $379.99. So not a huge difference to jump up and grab those extra few channels to record into. So you've got 2 proper channel strips here using the XLR 1/4-inch jack combos, but you've got a bit more control where you've got push buttons for the amp sim if you're running guitar in, which I'll show you in a sec. Selecting through your lines, you've got channels 3 and 4 are using the 1/4-inch jack, so you left for channel 3, right for channel 4. Then you've got 5 and 6 are using a stereo RCA input as well. So if you're wanting to say we'll use that example, you're running a Super Nintendo in because you're live streaming out to someone, you can run that into channels 5 and 6 using the RCA connection. You've got your microphone running in. Maybe you have some sort of other sound effects unit or something you want to run in, or maybe actually a good user. There's a lot of gamers now who do or streamers and musicians who have synths or keyboards plugged in, and they'll play like video game themes and things like that. So maybe they want to have a synth plugged into, so microphone, synth, and the actual game console running into there, and then you sort of mixing all those together. You can say, this is how I'm going to play it, this is what it should sound like, and you can kind of switch between them. Everything you do on there will then get piped out through the USB and out through to your stream, and go out depending on, because then all you're doing is in your software, you're just selecting the AG06 as your audio input on your computer, and away you go. Everything you've mixed on there is what's going to go out to your stream, and you're going to know that is whatever you're monitoring on your headphones, that's what's going to kind of go out to your stream. So it's a nice peace of mind as well. This will also work with the AG controller app, so you get that same level of control for these these products where you can add the compressors, and you've got push buttons on there for enabling the compressors. Yeah, so there's the actual photo, so that's what you can see, and then that's the AG06 there as well. You've also got your streaming out switch is the other main part too, where like you could on the AG01, you can select whether you want just channel 1 and 2, so they call it dry on here, it's just your microphone going through, or you've got your input mix, which is your external inputs and your microphone, or you've got you're doing everything plus the loop back, so it's also sharing the audio coming back from your PC. So like where I had my backing track come through in that previous demonstration, with loopback selected, that means that's also going to go out to my stream and out to my audience to listen to. This just goes through what all the actual things are. And they're sort of like you see, like the back is really, really nice and sort of streamlined. The good thing with having a nice and clean back like this and not having all the inputs on the back too is you can kind of get away with pushing it up and out of the way to your wall. If you've got a desk up against a wall, it's handy to not have to have big, you know, XLRs kind of sticking out of the back like you have with this thing. You can keep your setup pretty clean just by being able to sort of drop everything in, and you're not having to pull the whole thing out to pull things in and out. You can just plug them into the top too. So that's a nice little feature that's quite handy. So that's those two models, really nice and simple. Not a lot of differences between them other than having the extra channels, and then you do get more control, like being able to turn on and off the amp sim, which I'll demonstrate on the AG08 soon, and sort of having individual sort of dials there as well to play with. The thing I will note on this model, even though it has 2 channel strips, so you can run 2 microphones, so if you're recording a podcast with 2 people, you do only have 1 headphone output. So if you've got people sort of sitting there having a conversation, you're going to have to run a headphone splitter of some sort, and they're going to have the same mix. So in terms of the same level of what they're hearing in their headphones. So that's probably the only thing to be aware of. Is yes, it's great for recording 2 microphones at once and be able to sort of mix them, but you are going to have to share the feed coming from the headphone output. That's the only other thing to really kind of be aware of. You've got obviously your monitor speaker mix here, and then your headphone mix control down there. Cool. All right. Let's jump into. Still no other questions? Still all good? Okay, perfect. Well, I just change over to another presentation. I probably should put these all into one presentation, but anyway. AG08. So AG08 is one of the newer additions into the range, and it's probably the most specific in terms of who it's for. So this is dead squarely more so aimed towards streamers and content creators who need to be able to make adjustments across a variety of controls on the fly. So instead of having to go through and use third-party software to run sound effects or sound pads, you've got them built into the unit itself. You can just load those in. This has its own app called the AG08 controller, which allows you to load in 5-second samples into those sound pads. You've got control over vocal effects, so you've got pitch and formant control. So if you want to make the voice deeper or higher, you can kind of control that. You've got a control over reverb and delays through here. And then you're able to enable those into either channel 1 or channel 2 by just using these kind of push buttons here. And you've also got presets. So again, like I said, if you're wanting to do things on the fly and you've got a particular part of your show where you're wanting to make your voice deeper for some reason, you can have that sort of preset into say number 1, hit that, and then that'll engage that particular effect, and then turn it off and it'll disengage it. You've got a compressor and EQ as well, which is set up within the app, or then you've got your individual mute buttons on each of the channel strips too, which is of course important to be able to sort of mute channels quickly before they sort of go out to your stream. And you've also got an amp simulator button on here, which you also have on the AG06. And I'm going to demonstrate how that works in just a second. Now each of these channels you can assign, for channels 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7, 8. You have the ability to stream, to select either of those as your streaming channel, and which is also all working as your USB return from your PC with your loopback. So at the moment I have my loopback from my PC coming through channel 7 and 8 because I've got that set to USB, and then that's what's feeding me my audio through to my monitor speakers here. So as I play back that sort of backing track, which I'll run another demo in a second. Anyway, that's running through channel sort of 7 and 8, and then as I rejig my connection here, I'm going to run my guitar straight through into channel 2, which has the guitar sim. I won't turn that on just yet. So for maybe for some amp, or they're out and about, or they're sitting in their living room and they want to be able to sort of run a guitar through, or any other instrument, run that. So that's just obviously just my sort of raw guitar sound. But if I turn on the amp sim, which I've sort of set up in the app itself, it's basically running like a software modeling within the amp itself as well, which I can then again combine with the backing track, which is coming through the USB on channel sort of 7 and 8. So again, I can control the levels on there. My guitar level's coming through there, so you can sort of do up your own. Right, but as you can see, so that can be anything that's coming through. Again, it doesn't have to be a guitar. You could run, you know, synth or other musical instruments through, and anything you sort of want. But versatile kind of little feature for, again, if you're wanting something where you're not using a lot of other third-party equipment, it's all just sort of built into that. And you can do that, like I said, the AG06 also has the amp sim, so you could do that exact same thing on even a smaller unit like the AG06 as well. It's just I was running everything through this, so I'm using that for my for the demo. You've got dual headphone outputs on this one as well. So this one you actually can run 2 different headphone mixes. So this is probably the one that's better suited if people are doing podcasts and you want to be able to deliver different discrete headphone mixes for each talker. You've got 2 headphone connections, and you've got headphone mix here as well. Sound pads, again, you've got volume control over that, so you can turn that up and down. You can record from the microphone, like the channel 1. You can record into these sound pads as well. You sort of push and hold buttons. So if you want to record like a quick little 5-second intro or something like that you're going to use every time you start the show, or maybe it's a, you know, welcome back or something like that, you can just record that into there and use those as your sound pads. And yeah, like I said, either 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, 8, you can assign your USB loopback coming back there. And I'll show you quickly what the back of the unit looks like, so I don't have to turn this around, so you can see how that works. It's up here somewhere. All right, so this unit, because of the size of it and the amount of channels you're running, all your connections are on the back of it, but you've got your channel 1 and channel 2 are using your XLR combo jacks there. Channel 3 and 4 are using quarter-inch jacks for channel 3. Channel 3 for the left, channel 4 for the right, so you can do stereo through to channel 3 and 4. 5 and 6, you've got the ability to use either stereo RCA or a 3.5mm jack. So that's a good one for running line level things through, for things that just have headphone outputs or line level outputs. Run those into 5 or 6. Channel 7 and 8 is using a 3.5mm TRRS connection, again, like what the AGs have. So if you're using a device that has that 2-way sort of connection through from Android or what have you, you can run that through 7 and 8. I don't use that one, that particular function that much. That's why I use channel 7 and 8 for my USB loopback return instead. But if, say, I was using that TRRS connection to feed audio through from an Android device, then I would simply just assign my USB audio to channel 5 and 6 instead, or 3 and 4 instead, just based on what. If you're in a position where you have that many inputs that you want to run everything through, then you're going to start running out, but it's pretty unlikely for this kind of functionality that you're looking to do. You know, having channels sort of 7 and 8 for USB, and then everything else for your inputs is probably going to cover the most use cases. If you're doing anything beyond that, then you probably need a different type of mixer that's more advanced again. But for the general user that this is designed for, that should cover it. This does actually come with a power pack as well, so you can run it off an actual power source, because it does use a bit more juice, needs 12 volts. Or if you've got something that's outputting quite a bit through the USB, then you can switch it over and run it off USB as well. And everything else is that same sort of stuff. They're online as well on the YouTube. Our head office in Japan, a couple of the guys who are in charge of these products over there, they've recorded a tutorial series on this product, going through a whole bunch of different things, an overview, how to set it up, the different channel strips, using some different features. And then there's some other ones that the UK did where they're actually putting it through a few different use cases for using it for streaming, using it for music production, using it as like a talk show kind of thing. So if you want a little bit more information about how it works and what those use cases look like, there's some links for those in this presentation as well. And price point $799.99. So it was, when it was first released, it was quite a bit more. It was about $1,200. And when I came in, when these got added into my sort of range of products, I did a big review of pricing and everything, and I was able to argue that this actually had to be, significantly reduce the price and do whatever we need to make that happen, make it a really affordable, competitive product. And at $800, this adds a ton of functionality for that kind of money. This is using a high quality sort of circuitry and connectors that we use in some of our pro audio gear as well. So in terms of the overall performance of the product, and for someone who's wanting to deliver a professional stream to their audience, which is incredibly important to retain an audience, this is a great product to be able to do it. You've got heaps of flexibility in terms of how you can kind of set it up, and that's the final piece of the puzzle as well, which I had up before. Here we are. So this uses a different app from the other products. This uses the AG08 controller, which is far more advanced in terms of having individual control over each of those channels here. So you can engage compressors and EQs for each of channel 1 and channel 2. Here's channel 2 with that amp sim that I talked about. So that's where I was able to sort of set up my guitar tone as I kind of played through it. You've got the ability to turn on sort of a duckers. You've got overall sort of monitoring, all that kind of thing built into the unit. And then you can also go down to if I can find my mouse again, go back there. Yep, sure. You've also got that same kind of simple mode. So again, if it is being used by a user, I shouldn't say a simple user, a user using it for simple purposes, and don't want to sort of mess around with different kind of settings and EQs and things, you can sort of enable this simple mode as well. And here you can see it does let you select between dynamic condenser or a built-in headset microphone, and will apply sort of an EQ curve accordingly. So you can still get kind of deep and dirty in there if you want. And you just download that through our website. All of these, you'll download drivers from our website to run them with. But yeah, nice and simple. How that all kind of comes together as well, just so you know, So this is, I don't know how many of you are familiar, but this is OBS. So OBS is Open Broadcast. And this is a free open source streaming platform, and it's probably the most popular one used by streamers out there because it is free and it's always been updated. There's a big community behind it. So this it allows you to sort of set up what's going to go out to your stream, and you'll see that I've just got my different mixes sort of down here. So all I'm doing is select to have everything that I've had playing through there. So my microphone, my guitar, my loop back with the backing track come through. All I'm doing to send that out to my stream is going in here, saying I want to use an external audio source, and I'm going to select my AG08, which I've got sort of muted at the moment. At the moment, it's using my AG01, which I'm also running through. So unmute that. I'm just capturing my main laptop display here. I've got a webcam here as well. And then all I'm doing to start streaming is I hit start streaming. syncs up to the server, out to YouTube or whatever, and everything is set in there. Then as I'm talking, if something's going wrong, you know, if I turn that volume down and that, you know, make adjustments on here, that's going to make those adjustments going out to my stream as well, which is really important for someone, like I said, who's streaming, to be able to make those individual adjustments. If I wasn't using this and I was just using the Windows-based audio software, if I wanted to make an adjustment to my microphone level, I've got to go into my Windows settings here somewhere, try and find my microphone level settings or my playback settings coming from Chrome or what have you, and make those adjustments. And that's going to disrupt my stream that's going out to the audience. It's not going to look professional at all. And it's going to, cause breaks. So for me to now be able to go, okay, I just need to turn this down, I need to cough, hit mute. You know, it's really, really simple. So that's most of the mixes covered in terms of the sort of the combination of, you know, musician, streamer, content, etc. We do have another category we've started bringing out a couple of products for, and to aim towards the gaming market as well and use our expertise for that. So we brought out a model called a ZG01, which I don't have here, but it's a larger unit than this, and it has HDMI inputs where you can strip 2-channel audio from game consoles. If you plug them into the HDMI inputs, it'll take the audio out of those. You can kind of switch between them. This doesn't have that. This is more based purely for PC, because it's all just using USB, but you can still use it with PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch to use it as your microphone mixer, game audio mixer. But the cool thing with this, which is very specific to gamers and game audio streamers, there's some pretty bespoke sort of settings that are in there based around what their needs as well. So let me just go down here and start my presentation. All right. So the thing with video game streamers is you've got different types of audio streams that you need to be managing on the fly. So you've obviously got your microphone level, but you've also got your party chat. Sometimes if you're playing a multiplayer game with people, you need to be able to adjust the level of them talking to you, coming through into your headphones, but potentially also through, if you're going to pass that through to your stream, you want to be able to adjust those levels, and then the game audio levels itself as well. So what this is essentially kind of like having like 3 sound cards you can adjust independently of each other on the one device, because it'll adjust all those things on the fly using these dials. So you've got your volume fader here for your microphone, then you've got your overall microphone level. You've got other things like you've got your mute button, you've got a basic gain setting, so low, medium, high. You've got a 1/4 inch combo and XLR combo on the back. So you've got a phantom power button there, so you can still use a condenser. You've got a speaker out as well, which is a 3.5mm speaker out. So not only can you run headphones, but you've got a switch here that lets you select your audio, a switch between your audio output. So if you're using headphones a lot of the time, but then just playing a game by yourself and you want to use a sound bar that you've got connected into it, or you've got monitor speakers and you want to play music through, just put that out, select that output, select a switch, and that'll just switch between those. But basically the main thing with this is, as you're streaming or playing a game, you've got control over your microphone level that's going out to your stream, but then you've got a level over your chat audio, which is coming from normally like a third-party app like Discord, which is a popular one that's used for people communicating during games. Then you've got your actual independent game audio level as well, which you can go through and adjust each of those on the fly. Again, those are things that traditionally, if you wanted to adjust those things, you would need to interrupt your stream and go out into Discord and adjust the chat levels down, or go into the game audio settings and bring the game audio level down. And that's going to sort of create a break in the stream. Here you can do it independently. You've also got some pretty powerful software called the ZG controller that works with this system as well, which is the main thing I'll go through, because that's where a lot of the key features come from. Jump through here. Next one. So this is sort of what the settings look like in Discord. So this is what you would have to go into to sort of make adjustments. And again, using this device in something like Discord and setting it as your microphone for sending out to everyone else who's using that for chat is as simple as going in and going input device, streaming Yamaha ZG02, output device, voice, Yamaha ZG02, set that up and it's ready to go. That'll set your voice chat up. Okay. So this is the ZG controller app. So on the sort of the home screen here, it'll give you an overview of your actual overall output level that's going out to your stream, your microphone level that's going out to your stream, any settings that you've kind of got engaged. A cool thing with this is all your settings, as you set them up, it'll actually save you can set save to ZG02 and it'll save it down onto the unit itself. So if people are taking this unit out to competitions or to a friend's house or what have you, they're taking all their settings with them and they don't have to set it up all over again because it saves everything down onto the unit. So you've got all the professional audio settings that you would need, like noise gates, compressors, EQs. You've got, I'll turn this around because that's helping you hear me. Limiters. You can, again, monitor it all as you go. You've got a full-on proper parametric EQ there as well. So you can, again, this is all about making sure that you're not only is it a flexible way to adjust all your settings, but it's making sure that you sound really good as you're streaming out to the world as well. You've got different effects that you can engage with some of the push buttons on there. So you've got voice changes. You've got an echo that you push and hold it and it'll add a little bit of an echo as you need it. A couple of my favorite features though, you've got what we call a focus mode, and focus is a pretty clever mode that uses EQ processing to allow you to focus on the audio, all the audio in the game outside of the audio that you're making yourself. So in some, say a first-person shooter game, a lot of the sound design in that is like the sounds of your characters, footsteps as you walk around and things. If you're doing that competitive, playing a game like that competitively, you might not want to be distracted by the noise that your character's making because you want to focus on everything that's around you. So focus mode will allow you to sort of EQ out, it kind of EQs out the noise that your character's making, so you're only hearing everything that's around you, so it gives you a little bit more of a competitive advantage in that sense. You've also got a feature called 3D chat space, and what that does is allow you just like within your heads, the virtual sort of 3D space of your headphones, where you actually hear your party chat coming from. So traditionally the party chat will come sort of just front and center at all times, but if you're trying to focus on everything around you, if you're trying to listen to subtle noises that the people you're playing against are making, you can take the party chat and push it over to say the right hand channel and to the back a little bit, so it's still there. You can still hear people talking to you, but it's not distracting, it's not in your face, you're hearing more of the sort of the game around you. So it allows you to kind of select these different positions. So front, high, left is where you would sort of hear that's my left, you would hear the game, the chat coming through as well. You can go in there and EQ the game audio itself, the microphone. You can go through, and this is a new feature that was added to the ZG02. The ZG01 doesn't have this, but this link feature, which allows you to choose which elements of audio go out to your stream versus the ones that you're just monitoring and listening to. So each of these little blue link things here, as you sort of check those on, those are linked. So as you make an adjustment on the ZG02 itself, that'll go out to your stream. But if you unlink it, it'll only be for your own monitoring purposes, and it won't actually go out to your stream. So if you don't want the voice chat going out to your stream, you would sort of unlink that or mute it. And also, the effect, you wouldn't have the sort of the effect as you adjust it. And there's like little LED indicators that indicate what is going out to your stream by that link function or not. And that's basically kind of it. There's lots of other sort of little bits and pieces in there, but it's all based around making sure that you've got full control over the different elements of the game audio, and that you're sounding good as you're doing it. And again, this one also has some pretty in-depth tutorials on YouTube running you through all those different settings that are in the app, and some of the different use cases and that as well. So it's a good one. Even sort of setting it up and streaming with OBS too. So that is just on our global YouTube channel. You can check out if you do want a little bit more information. So that's the ZG02. So like I said, designed primarily for the gaming use case, whereas you could still use it, if you're gaming, at nighttime and you want something to use, you've got meetings when you're working during the day kind of thing, you can still use it for that. Like you can still run your condenser microphone or a headset microphone through and use it for every other purpose you would use a USB interface for. It just doesn't have an external like auxiliary input or anything like that, but microphone will work nicely. And one final thing we'll touch on just quickly, because it complements these products. You can see the big monitor speakers that I've got here. These are the HS7s. These have been around a long time. They get used in a lot of studios and home sort of production. Last year we released the HS3s and 4s, which are the we call them the HS Minis, and these are designed. Take the DNA of these speakers that you see here and sort of shrink them down into a more flexible desktop type format that is simpler to understand, and it's good for more use cases and potential sort of like more general users as opposed to like music producers and things. So they come 2 in a box, whereas these you buy them sort of individually. They're individual powered. These here are all, that was where I start my thing. Come here, little arrow, there we are. Present. Do it. All right. These are particularly good for content creators and streamers because the size of the speaker diaphragms themselves are great for the mid-range side of things. So they're not as large, so their bass response is going to be not as deep as what, say, the HS7s are. But for someone who is wanting to mix vocal, like dialogue, with maybe some background music, because they're mixing a YouTube vlog, like a travel vlog or a cooking, guitar tutorial or something like that, and they want to make sure their voice is sitting nicely against any background music. These are perfect for that because these are great at delivering a really faithful mid-range. Monitor speakers are basically like a flat frequency response, which is what you want when you're creating anything. If you were to just use your Beats headphones that you bought from JB Hi-Fi or what have you to mix content together or audio together, it's not going to sound the same to someone else who's listening to it who wasn't using those headphones, who are just using maybe their standard different set of headphones that have their own different sort of frequency response, because what you've heard through those headphones are colored. They're generally more bass heavy, and it's not going to be an accurate representation of what everybody's hearing. So if you're making content for other people to consume across different devices, it's really important to use either monitoring headphones or monitoring speakers to make sure that you're giving the content the best chance at sounding good across a wide variety of different listening sources. So like you can see from the size of these, they're quite small. They actually look really good sort of sitting next to a laptop. They've got a 3.5mm in as well as XLR input, so you can just run a 3.5mm jack dubbing cable out of the headphone output of your laptop into the 3.5 in, and away you go. You've got sort of some monitors plugged in instead of some headphones. Just go to the pictures where you can see the back of them. So they come in black and white. So these here each have individual power amplifiers built into them. These here, you've got one that's passive, which then has a speaker cable that then daisy chains off to the left-hand speaker, which then sort of powers it. So they're pretty simple to set up. It's no different from plugging in any other speaker. But you're just having to run your source into just one of them, and then it'll daisy chain it through to the other one. And you've got a variety, like I said, you've got a variety. So you've got a 3.5mm input, you've got a stereo RCA input, and you've got a 1/4-inch combo jack input as well. So everything you would need to run out of a source into them. Yeah, there we go. There's the back of it. So like I said, really good, simple product to complement something like these products here. So if you're using a mixer and you're even if you're wanting to monitor how something is sounding going out to your stream as you're playing music, these are a good one as well, and quite cost effective. When you're getting a pair of them for $399.99 or $499.99 for the HS4, so not super duper expensive when all is said and done, because these sound terrific. Like they haven't made any compromises in terms of the componentry and the performance. Just to shrink them down, they're still using the same sort of mix to make the drivers and the tweeters and all the electronics. They're just sort of a mini version of these HSs that are already really well regarded, and you'll find in most sort of home studios around the world. So a great pairing to pair with something if someone is doing some sort of content creation product and they need something to mix their monitor their audio. Yeah, there's the user manual. So that's it, I think. Any questions at all? Hopefully that all made sense. So like I said, we've got everything across the board to cover most use cases, from, like I said, simple plug and play YCM01U at $250, will do everything for people who just want to be able to record their voice, meetings, that kind of thing, all the way through to something where you're doing sort of on-the-fly adjustments for streaming out multiple instruments and microphones as well. And then we've got the gaming side of stuff covered as well. Yeah, that's it. I think you can come up and have a look at stuff and whatnot if you want. But yeah, if you have any more questions later on, obviously just fire them through to Dave and he'll pass them on. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thank you.